Hey everybody, thanks for joining my channel again today. I've got a process video for you here doing the painting of Lan Mandragoran. I apologize if you can hear the country beats in the background. My wife's got them rocking in the other room there. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this video and I will check in with you guys next time. Hey everybody, I'm finally getting around to putting up this video for the process of painting Lan Mandragoran from the Wheel of Time book series. It's crazy to me that I've been working on these for quite a while now and been really enjoying the process. I'm re-listening to the books, I guess. I'm on book 11 right now and really enjoying the books again, as usual. I just love this book series so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with all the characters and all the designs and everything. There was a post recently that I saw just the other day. Rafe Judkins posted a shot of, you've probably all seen it, of Josha Stradowski. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name, Yosha or Josha. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's probably Josha. Anyways, I noticed a photo that Rafe had posted of him on the set, and it was crazy. I was like, oh wow, awesome. It's a really cool scene. He's standing on kind of a ridge with the mountains in the background. Just a beautiful location. And I was really like desperate to see what the details of his clothing were, his costuming, because it affects my capacity to paint these characters. Right now, I'm still, everything that I create there's a margin of, I guess, concept design that's going on with these, as with this piece, sort of imagining and envisioning sort of what his costuming and what he would wear would look like. And of course, I'm pulling from influences from other artists and the work that exists out there around the Wheel of Time series. I feel like, I don't know what they're going to do with a lot of the costuming, but as I've mentioned before I think it was the Moraine. Yeah, it was my painting of Moraine. Yeah, that was the one where I had said that I really feel like in my head canon, I guess, in my mind, a lot of the concept around some of the costuming is Eastern influenced. So I've kind of had this like melding of Renaissance style clothing and like feudal Japan or even contemporary Japanese garment design. So some of the stuff has kind of been sort of influenced by those, I guess, sensibilities, and then mixing in sort of like European armor design and stuff like that. I haven't done a whole ton of concept design of this type in my career. I primarily work on educational materials for the Alberta Board of Education and a bunch of other clientele that typically it's explaining safety stuff or explaining about processes in a corporate space or an industrial space. So my day-to-day, I don't get a lot of time usually to build out really cool concept design like this and start to imagine kind of what characters would look like. I'm a fan of Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings and all those types of things. I love fantasy stories and I love the aesthetics attached to the fantasy stories. And so I naturally kind of gravitate towards aesthetics that are that this is sort of in line with. The thing I'm surprised about is how much of a leap it is going from being a fan of this kind of aesthetic and these sort of stories to creating the concept art for them, or creating concept art pieces or fan art pieces that are in line with the vision from the writer's perspective, or I guess what I'm envisioning as I'm listening to the stories. It's quite a lot of work for me personally, and I recognize that I maybe need to economize my style if I was going to do more actual concept work. It's not, the style that I work in is not conducive to quick one-off sort of concept pieces. It's more finished illustrations or paintings that I'm shooting at with these. But there is a layer of concept work that goes into that in that process. So that's been very interesting for me, and I know there's a couple of people out there that are that friends of mine that are concept artists that I know I've had conversations with them, and they stress and emphasize the aspect of economy a lot. And if I was working in a game studio or a film studio and I was having to create some concepts for games and film, I would need to be a lot more economical and quicker. I'd have to sort of readjust my processes so that I could render and develop and output work at a much faster tick than what I do currently. I mean, I feel like I'm still learning too. So along the way, I'm still wrestling against my lack of knowledge around portraiture, and I guess I got to try to be positive. So I got to try not to be super negative on my work. I don't want to come across as though I don't know anything. I guess what I should say is I'm still struggling against my current level of knowledge around portraiture and anatomy and the human figure, as well as costume design, fabric, how it folds, and all of those aspects. I have been with these, I've been sort of shortcutting things for myself, which has been really helpful. So I don't intend to really hide anything around my process. I think digital tools are amazing, and they're really wonderful. You can see in this last little bit here, basically I've got these photographs of flags that I've thrown into the piece and colorized and adjusted the color on and the lighting on them. And then I'm essentially just drawing the frame, the design, I'm just drawing over top of them to basically get the composition correct. And then I'm just painting over top of them and creating trying to create a pleasing lighting and folding of the fabric. So well, I know that I can correctly depict these things without doing that, without sort of tracing the elements. But the thing is, for the process in these pieces, it's more about the finished piece, and it's more about the concept of the character, and it's really about likeness too. I really want them to look like the actors. The whole goal with these is to be able to create something that people who are fans of the book and who are excited about the TV show coming up can look at these and sort of feel like they have a glimpse of what the actor might look like in the role. And so that's really my goal. And so in that interest, while I'm painting the faces and stuff, I often do sort of a check back, and I have like a layer with the traced face of the actor that I'll throw over top of my painting to do a sanity check on my likeness of the person. And more often than not, I would say I'm getting to the point where like I will be maybe like 88 or 90% accurate with my rendering, and I'll have to sort of make a few adjustments and just sort of mash things around with a liquify tool or something just to get the likeness spot on. And I'm okay with that. Right now, like I'm full-time in my business, and I do all this stuff on the side, and I don't have necessarily enough time to invest into learning how to get like just doing concept or sort of portrait after portrait after portrait after portrait to get my skill level up to where it really should be or where I want it to be. Eventually I'll probably get there. It's just going to take me some time. So eventually, like this year, I'm planning on doing a couple more stints of portrait studies, and then expanding on the basics of portraiture book that I put out last year on Gumroad. And those are really great exercises and great processes for me. That involves I was trying to do 4 portrait studies a day, 15 minutes each, so like an hour of portrait studies, and then by the end of 30 days, the goal was to kind of have like 120 portraits done. I ended up slowing down and doing a little bit longer studies towards the end of my first round of that. which ended up, I think, with 96 portraits, and really felt a lot of growth through that process. So that's my goal again this year. Is I actually would like to do that twice throughout the year here, and basically, so that'd be like 60 days of portrait studies, and then some educational work. Okay, so here's another thing. So if you're looking at the video right now, you can see I wasn't happy. The photograph that I had of Daniel Henney was not, the body positioning wasn't working because he was wearing this cloak or jacket thing that was obscuring part of his body. So I had to figure it out. So I took a reference photo of myself. I mean, I like to think that my body proportions and stuff are very similar to Daniel Henney, but not quite. I think he's a little more buff than I am, but it was helpful for just getting a structure down. And then I wasn't happy with the cloak, and so you could see there, basically I brought a photograph, or a chunk of a photograph of a cape waving in the wind. And I threw it in, adjusted it. I think I used like overlay or a screen or something like that. And then I'm basically using that as a guide to paint in the form, and sort of manipulating it so that it feels like the warder's color shifting cloak, which was like a struggle. Trying to get that cloak figured out was a real struggle for me. And then when I brought that in, I was like, yeah, now I've got something I can work against, and it was just really helpful. It worked out really well, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of this piece is the cloak and the effects on it. So anyways, so trying to get my skill level up this year is something that I hope to do. Doing those stints of studies is super valuable for me. It's really challenging, and it helps me sort of grow my seeing. I think that as artists, is always a constant sort of like battle for us, where we're trying to sort of grow in our ability to see stuff, and fighting against our tendencies and our habits, and sort of our assumptions of what the human body looks like, or whatever the subject matter is that we're drawing looks like. We often come to these things with a preconceived notion of what those things look like, and then we just draw without really actually looking at the thing and examining it super closely. And I think that sometimes can make our art feel contrived. It can feel sort of like invented rather than actual. And we have to really be careful to take a step back and observe things from a very, what do you call it? A very objective perspective. So that's a bit of self-editing. So that's sort of the aspect of self-editing, something that I'm really struggling to grow in as I move forward, and I'm starting to get there. I feel like the latest piece that I worked on, which I'll eventually get up on here too, on my channel, is as I was going through the process of painting it, I wasn't content with where it was at. And the struggle I have right now is not really knowing what it is that I need to change to get it to a spot where I'm happy with it. I can often, at least now, recognize when something isn't working. Like I'll look at something, I'll be like, oh man, this isn't feeling right, this doesn't work. I just need to grow in my capacity to be able to see what it is that's not working. And that's where other creatives, other artists come in to my experience as a creator. I have my business partner is amazing. He's got a really amazing eye for seeing things. He's an amazing art director, and so he understands visual language and style so excessively well that I can sort of lean on him for some of that direction and feedback. And then also my wife is amazing too. She's really good at seeing stuff, and it's, I mean, here's the truth. As an artist, when you're working on a piece and working on it for so long, oftentimes you'll get to a point where you just can't see anymore what needs to be changed. It's just like you're almost blind to the errors or what you can do to improve a piece, and you need output. You need outside input to be able to see what you need to change or what could be improved upon. And so that's not a bad thing. We have to sort of humble ourselves and be willing to take feedback and direction from people. It's invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable to the process of creating. So anyways, this is just about wrapping up here. I really enjoyed doing this piece. It was a really fun process for me. I really like the character Lan Mandragoran. I'm kind of excited to see Daniel Henney and how he carries the character forward in the show. Okay, spoiler alerts, spoilers. Don't listen if you don't want to get spoiled. But there's a lot of stuff that happens to him. His person that he's really connected to dies. His kingdom is under attack and bad things are happening. Yeah. Should be really interesting to see him. He falls in love. It's great. Anyways, thanks you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will check in with you next time. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content, please click one of the videos on the screen. If you'd like to be notified when all my videos go up, please click the bell icon. And if you'd like to follow me on social medias, you can find me on patreon.com/Corey Lansdell. I'm at Corey Lansdell on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as well. Until next time, you guys, be good to each other.